You're listening to The Seed, brought to you by Staley Credit Union and the Brecknitz Group of Raymond James. Welcome to The Seed. I'm Julie Staley over at Spencer Films, and joining me is my co-host Laura Jahr over at the Staley Museum in Decatur. How are you, Laura?
Fine, Julie. How are you?
Pretty good today. We are busy here as you guys are over there. We're getting our documentary Fields of Gold wrapped up. We're pretty excited to finally start seeing the end of this and having some announcements soon about when it will be coming out. So that is forthcoming. But meanwhile, a lot of things going on in Decatur, a lot of things going on at the Staley Museum. We talked about these in our last podcast, but we have more details to talk about, update to talk about with the Taste of History that's coming up. Tell us about that event, Laura.
Well, Taste of History, I think, is one of the best events that Decatur does. It gives people an opportunity to really see some of our historic homes shine and to learn, about Decatur's history, in this case, industrial history, because the Mueller Museum is one of the partners and Staley Museum is another partner. It's a fun night. So, people that come, they come to hear music, they come to have appetizers and drinks, and they come to just enjoy themselves and socialize. And while they're here, they can stroll around either the historic homes or the museums and maybe learn something about the community that they didn't know before they signed on for the event.
Absolutely, things people don't know. You may not realize how much history we have in Decatur. There is so much to learn, so many new things. We've been involved as a museum with these organizations for many years, and I find that when I'm involved in an event with the other organizations, I learn something new every time. So there's always something new to find out at each one, and to really go in and experience these homes and these museums is really, really incredible. So it is a really, really fun night for everyone. It also shows the camaraderie that is in Decatur among the historic groups that are working together to create something exciting. This is, now correct me, Laura, is this the first year since the pandemic?
We attempted last year, but people, early on it became, we understood that people just weren't ready to get out for this kind of event. When you have an event where you're serving food, you can't really require masks. And last year, I think there were a lot of people that were still kind of, tentatively not sure whether they wanted to be in group settings. We do sell quite a few tickets, but I think people should understand that also there are 5 venues. So people are moving around to all of these different venues. You don't usually find really large crowds at any single one. People are constantly kind of moving around. The Decatur trolley will be, transporting people from location to location too. Other people may choose to drive, but there's plenty of space to spread out. And each venue is unique, and it's unique and interesting. You've got a museum venue like the Mueller Museum. You've got 2 very well established historic homes with incredibly beautiful interiors and artifacts there. You've got the Culver House, which is a historic home that is in the process of being remodeled and to make it available to the community. So at that home, you're going to be able to see a little bit of the process of what a house goes through to try to, be remodeled and become relevant again. And then, of course, you've got the Staley home, which is this really incredible, magnificent old home, which is also a museum. So you get a lot of different flavors at each site.
Yeah, absolutely. And literally with the food and the history, being able to see historic homes and museum memorabilia, all of that in one package. And yeah, they're just so so much history tied up in one event. And we have so many organizations and businesses in town that really support Decatur's history, support the legacy. One of our sponsors, the Brecknitz Group of Raymond James, they have a team of professionals with more than 250 years of combined experience, offering steadfast guidance for families, individuals, businesses, and institutional investors. And their powerhouse of experience is supported by the award-winning resources of Raymond James, one of the largest independent financial service firms in the country. And for more information, you can visit thebrecknitzgroup.com. That's THE, the Brecknitz, BRECHNITZ group.com. The Brecknitz Group of Raymond James. It's a financial future backed by strength and stability. And we sure have that in our community of history in Decatur. A lot of people, a lot of organizations really sponsoring and backing all of that. Laura, when people come to the Staley Museum, they will be able to see something new or expanded, I guess, new and expanded that we're celebrating at the museum, which is really, really important in the history of A.E. Staley, which is, of course, the soybean. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, actually, as museum director, I would say that this is possibly the most important story. I mean, it's all important. I shouldn't say that. But this one, the soybean story is definitely has had a very large relevancy, not only for Illinois or the Midwest, but it really has changed the look of agriculture since the soybean came on on board. And Staley, Staley's development of the soybean program at his company, had a lot of different steps and a lot of different parts to it. But yes, we are going to have an exhibit that tells a lot of the basic stuff, but also expands a little bit on the why, where, and when of soybeans coming onto the scene for Staley.
Yeah, he did a lot. The story as people know it, and as we've told it, he was introduced to soybeans as a boy in North Carolina, and planted them in his own at his own farm, and saw the benefit of them at that point. But then, of course, it wasn't until decades later that 1920, that he finally realized that this was something to take on for his company. But it was after he had done extensive, research and, partnered with other organizations to really, I guess, scope out exactly. He didn't go into anything halfway. He knew exactly what the risks were and what the benefits were. So I think that's important to tell for this story.
There are a lot of different components to it, even more than when you scratch the surface and you think you've got it all together, and then as you work through the story, there are a lot more components. But you're right, Julie. One very important component, and I think it's important because when Staley would be interviewed during his lifetime, he would always talk about the soybean story and reference back his first exposure to the soybeans as a child. So that definitely left an important mark on him. The possibility of soybeans definitely left a mark. His small childhood experience with them left a mark. In the later years, you're right. Again, we see with Staley over and over again, what he might have lacked in formal education, he always knew how to utilize his resources, do the groundwork, the foundation work, and then delve into whatever project he had, full throttle, because he had utilized his resources and done his homework, so to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he always did his homework. But and because he was making up for what he felt that he had lacked in school. For those who may not know the background of the story, he only had about a third grade formal education because he had to work on the farm. And then his father died when he was a teenager, and then he had to take care of the family. So not much opportunity. It was all the real world experiences is what he gained, which obviously was was what he needed to build the company that he did. One of the companies that was there really at the beginning was the Staley Credit Union. And they asked, what if you owned your bank? Well, if you join the Staley Credit Union, you will. When you're a credit union member, profits come back to you, not the investors. And how does that work? Well, if you think lower interest rates on loans, higher dividends on savings and financial education, and unmatched member service, you can become a member today by visiting StaleyCU.com. And this institution is not federally insured by Member Choice, but is proudly insured by American Share Insurance. Staley Credit Union obviously came on, was part of the administration building when it was built, and that was where it was located originally. But now it is a separate entity, all its own, and they have many branches all over. So it's good to see a lot of things growing around the area. You know, our history continues to grow, and it's really wonderful to see all of these organizations working together for the Taste of History to bring this back to everyone. So it should be a great night. I always enjoy having people come in on events like that because I love hearing the stories that they have to share about the company.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I think one of the best parts of Taste of History is because of the way it has been set up. We are seeing an interest in younger generations coming into local history. You know, local history on so many levels has always kind of been an older generational type audience. But with Taste of History, with it, with us having the appetizers and kind of the music and, kind of lightening up the mood, we're starting to see a younger generation of interest and audience at the event. And that's really wonderful to see because somebody will have to carry local history on into the future. So it's really great to see a younger group coming in and taking an interest in local history.
Yeah, absolutely. And many of them are influenced by their own family history with the company and with the area. So so that's always, again, wonderful to hear everyone's stories. So yeah, Taste of History coming up on October the 1st. Tickets are still available. There's a Facebook page. You can go to Taste of History Decatur and find all of the information there. And we hope that we'll see you that night. If not, come to the museum. We would love to see you and tell us about your stories regarding Decatur history, or your history with the Staley Company. Join us again for our next podcast coming up on October the 4th. We want to thank our partners, the Herald and Review, First Mid Insurance Group, McGuire, Uhas, Huffman, and Buckley CPA Firm. And of course, our sponsors, the Brecknitz Group of Raymond James and the Staley Credit Union. That is it for now. Laura, thank you for joining us. We really enjoy all the stories that you have to tell us too.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.